Here we go.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey everybody, I'm Bill with Live Simple, Live Free, and today I've got a cooler day than in the past. It's been running in the upper 70s and today the high is about 50. So today I am going to start up my wood stove for the first time, test it all, and make sure that I can burn off whatever paint and oils and things that come with the packaging, because that always smells and I want to just get all of that stuff out of there. So, but first I want to show you the woodshed that you saw me build not too long ago. I've got it half filled with wood, as you can see. Now for the wood, if you go on Craigslist, you can find all kinds of people who are giving away free firewood. Usually you have to come and, you know, haul it away yourself and cut it yourself. They've got trees down or something. And that's what I usually do. I just go and haul a bunch of wood and then I bring it home and cut it up and split it and all that. But I found a guy who sells it cut and split like you see here. And it's $75 for a pickup truck bed full. That's for an 8-foot pickup truck. And what you see here is one truckload. And it filled half of my woodshed. So for $150, I'll be able to fill up the whole shed. I don't know how long that's going to last me in the winter, you know, with this size house and all that. I'll just have to see. But he's always there. I can always go buy more if I need it. But I'd rather pay $75 a truckload than the hours that it would take me to split it and cut it myself. So there you go. There's my woodshed. Found this nifty little canvas bag designed to carry wood. It's really heavy duty. Makes it a lot easier than just trying to carry it like this. So I'm about to start this fireplace for the first time, and it will never be that clean again, ever. So I've always used fat wood as a starter to get the fireplace started in our tiny house. That's what I always use. So I just bought a big bag of that. But I also saw this for the first time, Enviro Log. It's a little piece, it's a little thing of wax that burns for, says 20 to 30 minutes. So I think I'm just going to try this and see how that works. This is considerably more expensive than the fat wood, but even smells nice. It smells like a scented candle. So I've chopped up some smaller pieces. Take me a few times of experimenting to figure out how to place the wood in the shape that I have here to get it to start. Find a smaller piece. Alright, see how that works. Got the damper all the way open. Normally I would cut some kindling into smaller pieces, but if this is going to burn for a half hour, that's probably going to be enough to actually get that wood started. The wood is really dry, so it should start fairly easily. So this is the first time I'm starting this fire, and I know that when you start a wood stove like this for the first time, it smells. It'll burn off any paint and oils and things like that from the packaging that are on here. You need to really burn it for a while before the smell leaves. So I'm expecting that. Several people suggested that I should have started the fire outside first before I installed it. That may have been a good idea, but anyway, it is what it is. It's installed, so I've been opening all of the I will open all the windows. This isn't hot yet. I just started it. It's starting to get warm. But several people told me that I need to wait for a warm day to start it so I can open the windows. No. It's been in the upper 70s this whole past week. And if I would start this when it's like 78 degrees outside, it would get 100 degrees in here, and you open the windows and you're not going to get much cooling effect from it. So today's the first cool day we've had. The temperature is about 50. So I'm taking this opportunity today because tomorrow it's supposed to be back up into the 70s again. So I'll get this thing fired up. It's only just started and it's going fine. And I'll open all the windows and air the whole place out and see how bad it is. Hopefully it won't be, insufferable, but we are planning to even leave the house for a while if we have to. So anyway, just keep watching this and I'll let you see it when it's fully blazing. So in 2019, the EPA came out with all new regulations for the building of wood stoves, for pollution control and all that kind of stuff. I bought this in early 2020 and it has all of the new EPA guidelines in it. The first thing I noticed right off the bat, there's no air vent intakes in the front here. I'm used to controlling the fire by using the damper in the chimney and by opening and closing the air intake vents. When it gets too hot, you damp it down a little bit, and it controls the flow of air, and so it controls the size of the fire. Well, this has no intake vents anywhere. It's got that cold air vent in the back, and usually the ones that had the cold air vent in the back, they'd have a thing here where you could open and close it to control the air. this is all automatic. It has a thermostat inside, and when the fire gets too hot, the thermostat actually closes a damper inside of that air intake vent and shuts off the airflow, brings the fire back down, and then when it gets cool, then it automatically opens up again. So that's kind of really cool because it's going to keep the fire much more of a steady temperature than me trying to adjust the air intake vents all the time. And supposedly it will be more efficient, and it will make the fire actually last much longer because you're not going to burn up the wood too fast if it gets roaring too big. So that was an adjustment for me that I don't really have any controls. The only control I have is the damper up here, and I can do that. But I don't have the kind of manual control that I used to have, but I think it's going to be more efficient in the long run. So it's a learning curve for me a little bit, although not really. You just throw it in and it takes care of itself. So I don't know. That's kind of cool. So it's the first evening with the new fire, and Leo has discovered it. He has spent the entire evening sitting right near the fire, even though it's not cold, and with that fire, it's about 80 degrees in here. Interesting thing about the fire though, because it's self-regulated, I keep wanting to make a flaming fire in there, and I just can't get any flame. It keeps shutting it down when it gets flame, and it's just those coals like that you see in there. But it's providing real solid, steady heat that doesn't fluctuate much. I'm going to have to kind of get used to looking in there and not seeing flames, but the heat, the steady, smooth heat is amazing. Okay, so it's now the next morning. The stove is cold, is dead. So let me tell you a little bit about what happened yesterday with my experience. When I first started it, I put in the 3 logs that you saw, and quite frankly, I did have a little bit of trouble getting it started because I didn't have enough kindling or any kindling, and I even mentioned that when I was starting it, but I did get it started. So in the future, I'll be using a little bit more kindling. What I'll do is take a few of the logs that are already split, but they're about this big around, and I'll split them into, small little pieces like that, so I have some kindling, and that'll make it start much easier. So I put in those 3 logs, and once I got them started, after they burned down a little bit, probably about an hour later, I put in 2 more. And 9 hours after I started the fire, it was still burning, and I went to bed. Now this morning it was, cold, dead when I got up. But that tells me it went, 9 or 10 hours. And so if I stoke it up before I leave, or before I go to bed, it's easily going to last through the night and still be working, still be running in the morning. So that's very good news after that little mini wood stove that I had in my tiny house where I had to feed it every half hour or it would go out. So I'm very excited to be able to just stoke it up in the evening and have it last through the night. It was about 50 degrees outside when I did this, and I had all of the windows open. And it was, even with all the windows open, it was 76 in the back of the house, and I don't know about here in the living room, but it was probably in the low 80s here, so even with the windows open. So in the dead of winter, I'm sure this is, and the windows closed, I'm sure this is going to be very good at heating the whole house. I also wanted to answer a few questions and some discussion that happened on the video when I installed it. I do have double wall flue pipe here, and I did that primarily because I wanted to be able to get it closer to the wall. I didn't want it out in the middle of the living room floor. The double wall allowed me to get it much closer to the wall. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But there were a lot of people that said I should have used single wall because you get as much heat out of the pipe as you do out of the stove. Yes, that's true. I would get more heat, but this stove is rated to do up to 1,200 square feet, and our house is only 900 square feet. And so I'm confident that it's going to be fine even without the double or without the single wall. I had a number of questions about the price. I did mention that it was $3,200 for everything that I needed. Now, the double wall pipe, which I used, is really quite expensive, and the cost of the stove itself was $1,200, and the double wall pipe going up through the roof and the roof flashing and stuff like that, $2,000. So, you know, even if you're going to be able to find a cheap older used stove or something like that, if you're going to use double wall pipe, you're still going to spend an awful lot of money on the pipe. That's just the way it is. Sorry about that. Now, I had an awful lot of comments of people saying that it's too close to the wall, I need to move it out further away from the wall, or I need to put some kind of heat shield on the wall. I mentioned in the installation video that the required clearance was 3 inches. Now, I couldn't believe it when I saw that. I looked at it several times. I had my son and my wife both look at it several times to make sure that's really what it said, and yes, that really is what it said. I mentioned that in the installation video that the required clearance was only 3 inches, but I think a lot of people either just didn't hear me or just flat out didn't believe me. I think a lot of people that made those comments, some of you were, you know, many of you were very nice, just saying you need to put some heat shield on the wall, but some people really nasty, calling me an idiot and I'm going to burn my house down and I don't know what I'm doing and all that, you know, all that stuff that you always get on YouTube. It doesn't bother me anymore. I get that kind of stuff all the time. I just delete them and go on. But I think that some of the people that made those types of comments just simply have not kept up with technology. Yeah, if you've got a stove 20 years ago or you have a 30-year-old stove, you need a couple of feet around it. But with the new technology, that's not the case anymore. So, and also the clearances, it's not just built into the code of what the clearance is, because I had people tell me anything from the required clearance by code was anywhere from 1 foot to 3 feet. Well, it's not built into the code. You have to actually look at the manufacturer's specifications for each individual stove to find out what the clearances are. So, just to reiterate this and show you that I'm not crazy, it really is 3 inches. Here's the installation instructions and the clearance requirements for this stove. So let's take a look at them, okay? First of all, notice right up here at the top that this is clearance to combustibles. Clearance to combustible material, that means something that's not protected by a heat shield. And over here I'm looking at B is the distance from the back of the stove to the wall. And here is the requirements for the double wall pipe. And you see right here, B, it says the required clearance is 3 inches, 76 millimeters. That's it, 3 inches. And then over here, D is the required distance from the wall to the double wall flue pipe. And so we see down here that distance, required distance, is 5.5 inches. So, according to the manufacturer, required distance is 3 inches from the back of the stove, 5.5 inches from the pipe for a double wall pipe. And as you can see here, I have 8 inches from the stove and I have 7 inches from the flue pipe. So I'm way beyond what the manufacturer requires for the clearances. I'm within code, just the way it is. So I'm within code. And while this was burning, I came over here and I felt the wall behind the flue pipe. It was completely cool to the touch. There was no heat at all there. And then I felt the wall down here behind the stove. And I do have to admit, it was warm. It was, in fact, warmer than I would probably like it. So, according to the manufacturer, I can keep it the way this is. It'll be fine. But that's warmer than I really wanted it to be. So I will probably buy another one of these hearth bases. This is metal and it's insulated underneath. And I got this at the same place that I got the stove. I'll probably go buy another one and just screw it to the wall behind the wood stove itself. Not all the way up, I don't need it there, just behind the wood stove. I can get a smaller one and it'll work just fine just to attach it to the wall. It's not required, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. Maybe give all of my viewers a little bit more peace of mind. So there it is. The stove is in, it's installed, it's working. I've used it. We're looking forward to it. We really love wood stove heat. I don't know what it is about a wood fire, a wood stove. Those of you who have wood stoves, you know what I'm talking about. Somehow the heat coming off a wood stove just feels so much better and so much more comfortable than something coming out of a register or a baseboard. I can't explain it, but it's true. It's warm, it's cozy, it's wonderful. So we're really looking forward to it. We will probably burn this a good part of the time as our main heat, but not always. We have a heat pump that'll give us heat as well, and of course when we're gone, the heat pump will take over. Like I said, I have no idea how long those 2 cords are going to last me. We'll see there, and I can certainly get more if I need it. So anyway, there it is, our wood stove. We're very happy with it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Live simple, live free. You be blessed.